Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are President-elect and Vice President-elect, respectively. Today, I talk one-on-one with Democratic political strategist Antjuan Seawright for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Antjuan Seawright, welcome back to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
Good to be with you, Quintin. Always a pleasure, and always good to be with your audience. One of the most engaged audiences I know.
Oh, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, and they appreciate it as well. Well, let me take you to the obvious, and this is coming from the Fox Business Network. Fox Business Report projects that former United States Vice President Joe Biden will become the 46th president after winning Nevada and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, as you know, went for President Donald Trump 4 years ago, and Nevada is traditionally red, but now it's trending more blue. What issues in those particular states helped elect President-elect Biden in your mind?
Well, there's several things, Quintin, and thank you for the question. One, the political tectonic plates have shifted in this country, and the big shift have happened in consequential areas like Nevada, like Wisconsin, like Pennsylvania, like Michigan, like even Georgia. Truth be told, all of those places, with the exception, I think, of Nevada, are places that Donald Trump won in 2016, that Democrats won in 2018, and now we won in 2020. People are fed up and tired of the aggressive style politics that came from Donald Trump and this administration, and then the failure from a policy perspective. And I think they responded accordingly. The other thing I will mention to you is that people know Joe Biden, and Joe Biden knows us. And I think that allowed people who may not ordinarily vote for a Democrat to show up and vote for a Democrat. And then finally, Quintin, black people, once again, stepped up to save this country. The difference in the 2016 campaign and the 2020 campaign in those states you mentioned, it's been black voters, the most loyal voting bloc in history, stepped up to the plate, and they didn't just show up, they showed out. And as a result, we won this election.
Now, you talk about the aggressive style of politics that was coming from this current administration. What type of politics did Joe Biden deliver during this particular campaign?
Well, I think he gave people a reason to believe in government again. He made a pledge that he may be running as a Democrat, but he'll be an American president. That means working with people who may not agree with his political philosophy. That means wanting to reach across the aisle to get things done. That means the first thing he and the historic Kamala Harris are going to have to do is figure out a way to wrap their arms around a response to this coronavirus that has ripped the fabric out of America as we know it. And that's not a partisan activity. That's a bipartisan effort. He's going to have to work with Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, to do anything legislatively. And so I feel good that the American people know that Joe Biden will be a consensus builder. And that's been missing from Washington, D.C.
And now, what type of policies would you expect from the Biden administration?
I think you'll see pragmatic. I also think you'll see quality of life issues being addressed. The president-elect, made some promises on the campaign trail. I believe he will step up and attempt to do as much of those things as the Republican Senate will allow him to, dealing with climate change, dealing with healthcare, dealing with infrastructure, education, all student loan debt, all those things that we know that have been challenging to this country for a very long time. I think he'll step up to the plate and try to really deal with them in a real way.
And the president-elect said this on Twitter, quote, "America, I'm honored that you have chosen me to lead our great country. The work ahead of us will be hard, but I promise you this, I will be a president for all Americans. Whether you voted for me or not, I will keep the faith that you have placed in me." Where's your faith right now in President-elect Biden?
My faith has been kept. I believe in Joe Biden. I believe that he will be the necessary concrete that will solidify the American experiment for a lot of people in this country. I also believe he will be the political glue that will bring us all together, Democrats, Republicans, and everything in between. And I believe that he could be a step in the right direction in terms of healing so many of the broken fault lines that we have in this country.
As a matter of fact, he did say, I saw the Chiron on CNN that says he wants to start off with healing. Where should he start?
I think he has to start with people who do not look like
Oh,
me.
shoot. Oops. I lost you.
Because
Oh,
you don't know what it's like to be a black man in America. Uh, but until we actually have people who do not look like us step up to the plate to address some of the things that have challenged us for a very long time, we'll just continue running this rat race as is.
and I know that the United States Congressman Jim Clyburn from South Carolina's 6th Congressional District said this on Twitter, quote, "My investment in Joe Biden had everything to do with the restoration of pursuit towards a more perfect union." What's that perfect union right now?
You know, Quentin, I think people sometimes forget we're still a very young country. And we're still taking steps toward what that more perfect union looked like. But I think that every now and again, this little experiment called America goes through recalibration. And when we go through recalibration, something new um, happens as a result. I think we will get further down the journey toward that more perfect union. But until we deal with some of the realities, healthcare, infrastructure, voter suppression, racism, education, until we deal with that, this union will never be perfect. And until we elect leaders in this country who want to address those things in a real way, we'll never get to perfection.
Let's talk about voter suppression. What type of policies would you like to see in that particular with that particular issue, I should say?
Simply, I want them to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Um, the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act with this ruling in 2013. It has allowed voter suppression to operate on steroids in this country. And I think we have to just restore all of that back. And I think passing the John Lewis Voting Rights Act that sits in the United States Senate right now, because Mitch McConnell did not even give it a hearing, will help uh, make steps toward that.
Yes, sir. And I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties with my Xfinity hotspot. But let me go on. The congressman also said this quote: "I could not sit idly by and watch this country take backward steps in that pursuit of perfection. So I'm pleased that we can now get back on course." How long will that take, actually?
You know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And for me personally, Quentin, direction is more important than speed. We didn't get here overnight, and we will not change it overnight. But we have to continue working at it, and we have to keep making progress, second by second, hour by hour, minute by minute, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, person by person. That's the only way we can make progress.
And to be fair, let me go to the other side. This is what President Trump has said about this whole obviously the entire election. He says this quote: "We all know why Joe Biden is rushing to falsely pose as the winner and why his media allies are trying so hard to help him. They don't want the truth to be exposed." What exactly is that truth?
Who knows? The president is going to want to remain relevant in a very divisive way. And we know that because that's who he is, that's who he has been. I think we have to ignore that and get back to the business of doing well in this country. And he can say whatever he wants, but the American people spoke. And not only did they speak, they spoke loud and clear about who they want the leader of the free world to be.
And he also said this too, the president right now, Donald Trump. He says this quote: "The simple fact is that this election is far from over. Joe Biden has not been certified as the winner of any states, let alone any of the highly contested states headed for mandatory recounts or states where a campaign has validated and has valid and legitimate legal challenges that could determine the ultimate victor." In what states has President-elect Biden been certified the winner in your mind?
Well, I don't know if any states have been certified, but the projections show that based on this process is going to be drug out by the Republicans because they cannot wrap their arms around this reality that they've lost what they thought they gained for a very long time, and that's power. But I'm convinced that in the end, good will prevail and evil will die.
And what highly contested states do you actually foresee a recount happening?
They're going to attempt to do something in Georgia, I would imagine. They're going to do everything they can with Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania. However, Quentin, the people have spoken. In particular, black people have spoken. in a real way. And, God bless them for wanting to try to overturn an election.
Now, what legal challenges do you foresee this particular current president facing?
Who knows? But he's going to have to answer to my friend Trish James in New York, the Attorney General of New York. And there will be some challenges, I think, for President Trump.
Now, what's next in the election process?
Well, we'll go through this rigmarole of recounts and lawsuits, etc. That will happen. You will have the Supreme Court, Trump-leaning Supreme Court, taking arguments on the Affordable Care Act, I think, next week. And then you will have a big runoff in Georgia for 2 U.S. Senate seats that could determine the balance of the U.S. Senate. So this engagement should not stop, won't stop, and it can't stop for us as Democrats, particularly voters of color, because once again, we have to perhaps step up and save the country by voting in Georgia.
Now, for clarity, let me go to something that current president has also been talking about. He says this too, quote, in Pennsylvania, for example, our legal observers were not permitted meaningful access to watch the counting process. Legal votes decide who's the president, not the news media. Let me ask you this, Antjuan. You've been involved with a lot of campaigns over the years. What's your understanding that is of the counting process in various states?
Look, there were cameras in those places. The president, again, Quintin, is just trying to distract the American people and cause anger, frustration, and confusion. What he's been doing all his life. Truth be told, we have to stay focused. Our vote and the voting process is a very sacred and pivotal thing in this democracy. And we've never questioned it so much like we do now. And it's all because Donald Trump has tried to paint this cloud about what it looks like.
He also said this too, quote, it remains shocking that the Biden campaign refuses to agree with this basic principle, that is, and want ballots counted even if they're fraudulent, manufactured, or cast by ineligible or deceased voters. Have you heard any reports of that?
I have not. And if it was true, we would have dealt with it by now.
And let me turn back to President-elect Biden. Will President-elect Joe Biden finish 36 electoral votes clear of 306 in your mind?
Yes. I think Joe Biden will have a very handsome victory in the end.
And how was President-elect Biden able to navigate the pandemic politics in order to ultimately win?
Staying focused on who Joe Biden is and the things that matter to the American people. Not to mention running a very strategic and smart campaign. This is the first time we've had to cast votes in a pandemic, Quintin, in my lifetime. And so it was unique. You can't do the good old-fashioned grassroots, grass tops politics or the retail politics we know Joe Biden for. But I think he did what he needed to do, and how he did it and what he said probably was most important.
And where did the polls, that is, go wrong, and where did it go right in your mind?
I think the polls got it right about the mood of the country, and they want something different. I think the polls got it right about the importance of Black voters showing up. I think the polls got it right in terms of the states needed to win this election as they have played out. I also think that the polls got it wrong because I don't think you can measure the intensity that white people feel for President Trump and his agenda, particularly rural white America. And that came out very clearly in some of these elections around the country. For instance, in a place like South Carolina, where 58% of the people vote straight party ticket, that's a challenge.
Did that hurt Jamie Harrison, and did that hurt?
It did. I think the numbers are 62 or 63% of the people of the state totally voted straight party ticket. Of that 60 some odd percent, 58% voted straight Republican. There's no way you can be a Democrat and survive that. We lost not just Jamie, but we lost seats all across the country in places where polls indicated the race was closer.
And what should Joe Cunningham do next to get that seat back in 2022?
I think he should start building the necessary infrastructure that it will take to be competitive again. Obviously, the coalition that elected him in 18 is not the coalition that did not elect him in 20. So he has to figure out what that is and what that looks like, and then make some adjustments.
Let me turn to the obviously President-elect Biden's transition team, which is coming up for discussion after Thanksgiving. Who in South Carolina do you see on that particular team?
I think there'll be a lot of people. I think that Congressman Clyburn will have a big say so in what happens in this administration.
Will it be Steve Benjamin?
We'll see.
Will it be Sellers?
My sense is we'll see.
Okay, okay. Antjuan Seawright, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome
It
back
might be you, Quentin.
Oh no, I'm trying to stay out of politics. It's bad enough. I don't want to be a part of that. But thank you for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quentin.
Thank you. Anytime.